Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, A Cup of Art. This is a channel run by two sisters, so I'm gonna be your host today, Star. I'm a 19-year-old self-taught artist, and for today's video, stay with me as we attempt to do something a little bit start to finish. So this is gonna be a draw with me, sketch with me, etc. And I'm gonna like sketch, color, slightly render, and so forth. So if that sounds interesting, yeah, please stick around. So I am doing like a redraw from a screenshot, screen capture, screen grab of Kiki's delivery service, and I was going through Pinterest because I wanted to paint something with gouache, because I'm making my mission since I had bought gouache last month to at least do like one or two gouache paintings. It doesn't like specifically have to be gouache, but I just want to get better at painting in general. So I just wanted to like see like, you know, what I could paint, because I wanted to paint some type of scenery or background because I want to get better at those things, because I just never ever attempted like actual backgrounds when I first started getting into art. And now I feel like I'm like 2 years and a half in, kind of 3 years, like from when I started to take art very seriously, and I probably can count the amount of times I've done any type of background or environment scene like on my hand, probably even on one hand itself. So I would just want to like do that a little bit more. And so I saw the screenshot, but I thought that it would be better suited digitally instead of doing it like painting, because I don't want to say the colors are complex, but I know that as a form of like I'm still learning, so I knew that it wasn't gonna turn out the way I entirely want with gouache, and that's okay. I've done a lot of pieces that completely flopped with paint, but I just kind of wanted to feel a little bit more confident with myself, and so I decided to do it digitally, and I went to do it on my XP Pen graphic tablet. This is an Innovator 16 graphic tablet. I went to do it on there instead, than on my iPad with Procreate, because my iPad is just no longer working. I got it when I was in middle school, and now I'm a sophomore in college, and so it's just basically going downhill every so often. And so yeah, I thought that, you know, this is a good point to slowly try to transition, not completely to Clip Studio Paint, because I'm still view Procreate as my main drawing software, but you know, I'm gonna have to end up using it just a lot more. So yeah, I decided to do it on the tablet today. So let me talk a little bit about the sketching process. I probably will have maybe in the beginning showed you what the screenshot was, if I remember. But yeah, this is just like a still of Gigi on like a windowsill. And there was like multiple screenshots of like this same scene of Gigi like standing up, or like, you know, up or like down. And I forgot which one I ended up choosing. I mean, I draw Gigi down, but I think the still that I ended up choosing was of him like more propped up, but I just switched it because I didn't want to like think about drawing cat feet or like indicate where the legs were, so I took it easy. But yeah, so you can see on the right like top corner, I'm using a brush called Sol, S-O-L. If I forget to put the ID on the screen, I'm going to try to remember to put the ID in the description box, but it's a really great brush. I will say that the ends are darker than the middle, so if you're like covering large areas, you're gonna kind of get this like washed out, like, it's not like opaque middle, but it's like, I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it's like a little bit washed out in the middle. And then the ends, since they're so dark, they also create like these large circles. So if you're covering a large space, and you're going to see, because I use this brush completely from beginning to end, you're going to see when I cover a large space, you're going to see like a bunch of like dark circles in the midst of like that large area that I was trying to fill in and like with the brush. Obviously the bigger like the brush is, the less you have to worry about those circles, and like the tinier the brush is, the less you have to worry about those circles, because obviously I was using it to sketch and you don't really see that. But like if you get like anything else in between, it's gonna be noticeable and maybe slightly annoying, but to me it was completely fine. I could have just like switched between brushes, but I just chose to like do everything in one take, mainly also because I was giving myself a challenge of like 2 to 3-ish hours to see how much I can get done with something. And so I wasn't really worried about switching brushes, if that makes any sense. But yeah, just like you saw like a while ago, a lot during this process, I had to recalibrate my brush. It was a bit annoying because in the past, I can work on like a 8-hour, like, I don't know, quote unquote work day, or work on a piece for 8 hours, work on a piece for 16 hours and such, maybe across like one day or across multiple days. And in the past, I never really had to calibrate my brush after like the first initial time. I always recalibrate my brush before I start on anything that I do on like the tablet. And maybe if it's like a long like chunk of time, I maybe calibrate it at least maybe 2 times, like in the beginning and somewhere near the middle or end. But this session I was doing, that was around like 2 to 4 hours. I didn't even time myself. But this session, I probably calibrated like a little less than 10 times. I don't show it all in the footage, but I do show like maybe like a couple of times that I had to like just stop midway to calibrate because the cursor and the pen tip would not align. And I've had this tablet for about a year now. And I also have had Clip Studio Paint for about a year now. So this never happened to me before besides this session. I did the next day do another session with the same piece for about 10 minutes just to clean up anything, like clean up any details that I had and wanted to fix something quickly. Just to make this a little bit more presentable for the video. It's not like a finished art piece, but just make it a little bit more presentable. And even within the like the 10-ish 20-ish minutes that I was working on this to kind of do like slightly final touches for this video, I had to calibrate it like, I don't know, 2 times as well in that short amount of time. And that is extremely frustrating to me. Since doing this piece, I haven't like used the tablet again. So I'm hoping that the next time I pick up this tablet again, this isn't going to be a problem, because if I was trying to draw something, the cursor was always underneath the pen tip. So whatever was underneath what I was trying to color or render or sketch would actually like that's where any of my marks would go to if I was coloring or sketching, etc. So it was pretty annoying. Even when I was trying to like X out of Clip Studio Paint, I had to actually put the pen tip on the top of the tablet, like off the drawing screen surface at the edge of the tablet, just so the cursor can go up to the X because it's like right underneath. It was a bit annoying, but anyways, back to the drawing process. Yeah, so like I said, I used the Soul brush. I think it was a really good brush. I don't remember what it was created for. I can't remember what was the appeal to get this brush, but I got it and I really liked it. Yeah, I think it's probably more suited for like line art than anything. But I do like it a lot. And since I don't do line art, I just used it for sketching and then went ahead and colored things here. Yeah, so compared to the screenshot, everything is like, okay, obviously everything's not to scale, but like everything is not like completely like word for word. That's one. And two, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it, but like some places are like either off center or not in the exact same place or same area as a sketch, or I kind of just like because I couldn't draw something, I just like changed it up to something I'm a little bit more comfortable with. So I don't know if it's cheating because I didn't really do a 1-for-1 redraw, but I don't know, I think like a good chunk of it is like the same. So I don't know, I'm giving myself that point. I don't care. Yeah. Okay. So the sketch is primarily done for the most part, besides me like having to add like a bunch of the leaves that you see surrounding like this area that Gigi is in. And I'll get more about the leaves because they were like probably really tricky, and I don't know why I keep doing this myself, drawing so many stuff with leaves on it. But I just want to kind of move into a little bit of pros and cons of Clip Studio Paint and of this drawing tablet, which is the Innovator 16. Because like I said, it's been a year since I had purchased both, And a year later, though this particular session was extremely frustrating for me, a year later I kind of have some thoughts about how I feel about Clip Studio Paint and of this tab, like whether it's like it was worth the purchase and things like that. So let's go into Clip Studio Paint just a little bit. I'll just talk a little bit about what I like or dislike, and these are like obviously my opinions, my preference, it's all subjective. So yeah, I think Clip Studio Paint is an incredible drawing drawing app, right? I think Clip Studio Paint is incredible, right? First of all, will I suggest this one over Procreate, because I talked about Procreate being my main drawing tool or software? I'm not really sure. I think that in terms of if artists are a little bit more aligned to like my cup of tea when it comes to drawing surfaces, like not complicated, like interface, easy navigation, that I wouldn't choose Clip Studio Paint over like anything else, like Procreate, Ibis, anything else that's just a little bit slightly less complicated and more easy to navigate. I would definitely say for beginners, no. Unless you've been watching like art videos like all your life and like you know down pat by heart like how to navigate different art softwares, even if you've never used one before, then I mean go ahead for it. But if you're like completely new and want to start fresh, I don't think Clip Studio Paint is one that I would suggest, because I also do think that it has quite a bit of a learning curve to it. Even coming from someone who has used numerous art softwares like in the past, besides just Procreate and like Ibis Paint or whatever, this was also a little still complicated for me to use. I think if you come from something like Photoshop, which is a little bit more closer to this kind of interface, I think that it probably was easier to learn through. But for me, coming from something a little bit more simplistic and minimalistic, yeah, it was a little bit hard. Even for me who has used Krita, I think Krita kind of has a similar interface. Yeah, this was still pretty hard for me to do. Not like hard, but there was quite a bit of a learning curve that I had to learn. But I'll say that once you do learn, or get through the learning curve and whatever's like complicated kind of in the interface, once you get through the navigation of it and you understand it, it's like really quick. It's like light work. I remember everything that I like retained. Sometimes I still have to look up a couple of things because based on their navigation, like things aren't like simply like labeled, and you have all these like headers on top, like files, windows, edit, so you have to like look through those to even find some of the things that you have. So like there's a lot of drop down menus, and you know certain things you have to toggle on and off. But I'll say that once you learn it, it's pretty much light work. So yeah, so those are my like kind of cons. I think it has a complicated interface. I think the learning curve is a little bit steep, and there's a bit of a navigation struggle, but I will say once you learn all those things, it's a little bit more complicated. But I will say, like I said, if you're coming from someone who's never touched anything like this before, I will say try to go some more of this simplistic route. And I think that Procreate at around the $10 benchmark, I think that's the price, is a perfect start before you jump to doing something like Clip Studio Paint, which is a little bit more pricier, right? A bit of some pros. I really like their asset store. I think it comes in clutch. Like I said, the Soul brush isn't a default brush. This is a brush that's custom made by someone else. And so just for that, like getting custom brushes, stamps, 3D models, and whatever else you can get at the asset store. I don't know. I haven't like delved into it too much. Yeah, I think it comes in handy, especially if you're a type of person who doesn't know to draw certain things. I mean, it's a work smarter, not harder mentality. Go for it, and like, you know, get what you need to help you and elevate your art and make it like the process just a little bit more faster. Next, I would say the brushes. I specifically mean the default brushes. I think that Clip Studio Paint comes with a good default collection. Not even like for all their brushes, like pencil, the gouache, watercolor, like they have a lot of default brushes for various different things, and I think they're really good. I will say they're slightly better than Procreate. I don't know if which one provides more, because I think if you see Procreate has a lot of different categories with a lot of different brushes, but I think for certain types of like categories, I think that Clip Studio Paint kind of has Procreate beat with some of the default brushes. But I haven't tried every default brush in Procreate, nor have I looked through every single category of Procreate, so I can't really say too much. But from like what I remember, they're either up to par or Clip Studio Paint has like a slight lead. I will say they kind of just perform a little bit better than on Procreate. Lastly, the 3D models, I mentioned it with the asset store, but the 3D model and like how you can like customize it to like different heights and body types and like head shapes, etc. I think that it comes in handy for someone who's probably struggling to maybe do a certain part of an anatomy, or who doesn't know how to do a certain type of body size. And I think that it comes in handy, especially the customization of like, you know, kind of moving the 3D model to your own placement and moving like making like a new pose for it. I think that it comes in handy for people. For me particularly, I like messing around with it to do perspective. And yeah, I think I've only done like one test perspective piece, but in the future I want to get into doing perspective just to make my art a little bit more interesting than just face focus. And so, you know, even though like I'm kind of slightly know how to draw the body, like drawing the body in different like angles is something that I never like took the initiative to learn. But hopefully through these 3D models and obviously through like my own practice, I can get better with like perspective, or even like force perspective or foreshortening, things like that. So yeah, those are my pros and cons for Clip Studio Paint. Let's go back into the process and talk about it a little bit more. I don't know if you saw when I was doing the leaves, but when I was coloring the large, or kind of large area, you kind of saw like the small circles, because of the ends. So yeah, the leaves. Yeah, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, drawing leaves when I know not like I know I can't do it, because certain times they do come out good, but whenever I draw like a bush of leaves, that's when I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Even last night, like the night before I'm recording this video or this audio, because I'm recording this in the morning, I did another piece based off a reference that had a bunch of leaves around the subject. And sketch wise, like I know how to do it, but color wise, especially like when I said it's a bush, I just can't evoke that like I can't, it doesn't look like a bush. And yeah, so I was messing around with this particular aspect. I wanted to get this one first because I knew that at first I thought it was going to be the easiest thing to do, but then it turned out it wasn't. And then I got more frustrated with myself that I couldn't do it right, and so I kept on it for like an hour, just because I'm stubborn. And so I was like, you know what, I gave myself like a 2-3 I don't know 4 hour challenge. Like I just gave myself up until like I go to bed to see how much I can get done. Like I'm wasting my time and I don't want like 2 hours to pass and I haven't done anything. And so I do eventually move on from these leaves stuff and kind of like give up. But I think, you know, the rest of the picture looks okay. Looks better than the leaves part. So I'm hoping that it doesn't draw your attention to the leaves because they look horrible. And mainly draw your attention to like, I don't know, like Gigi or the potted plant or something. Yeah. Okay. I don't like, see the potted plant, like, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, look. You see the coverage of me doing the cat? It's like washed out in the middle, and then like the ends are a lot darker. So like if you're filling out a large area like this, you're gonna have to like go back and like cover up those like washed out middle parts. But yeah, like I said, potted plant to the right. If I ever move it, like it looks good. Like I know how to draw leaves. I do know how to color it, but when I draw like a collective bunched up group of leaves, like in a bush, that's when I don't know how to do it. So that's something I gotta practice. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to talking about like my likes and slightly dislikes for the tablet itself, because I did talk about the having to calibrate it so many times during this session. So yeah, I'm gonna do the slightly like dislikes first because they're a bit shorter and they're more of like things that I picked up on this particular session than like overall, because you know I started having problems this particular session. So I'm going to talk about, like I said, I already did calibration. I want to talk about the colors that match in my display. I've like been fiddling with this all year, like since I got this tablet for the past year. trying to match my tablet to the display. For certain like artworks, I feel like the tablet is slightly more saturated than my display, like my laptop, I mean. And so yeah, slightly more saturated, so like the colors don't match, which is fine because I'm not looking at my laptop when drawing, so I'm not like picking up on those differences. But yeah, it does like slightly get annoying seeing this color difference. But like I'm not like too mad. I'm being like picky. I'm not too mad about it due to the fact that like the actual drawing, like the if I export the drawing and like post it somewhere, it's gonna look more closer to the tablet than the laptop. It's not like exact to the tablet, but it looks more closer to that. But for certain pieces, like I don't want it to be like super saturated, and it just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain my frustration with this. But I'm still figuring out. I'm like new to tablets and things like that. So, you know, I'm working out, but I just wanted to talk about like that nitpick a little bit. This is a 100% a nitpick, but the stand that comes with this tablet is probably like absolutely horrendous. I do not like it. It's only one angle, and the angle that it's on is not even like a good angle. For me particularly, it's not high enough. And especially if you're sitting on like a lower like table from like where like your height, I think that it's even worse that way, compared to like sitting on a table that's a little bit more like your height, because like that stress that it has on your neck is like really bad. So personally, I had bought another drawing stand on Amazon. I bought this one for my iPad, but it's like sturdier enough that I'm able to fit my Innovator 16 on it, and it works perfectly fine that way. I think it also has to do with the Innovator 16 being very, you know, thinner, slimmer, sleek compared to some of the other XP Pen tablets or just any other tablets out there. They're a little bit more bigger and bulkier, so I'm able to fit it on the stand perfectly fine. That was actually meant for an iPad. But yeah, that's it's a bit of a nitpick. And yeah, that drawing stand stays in its box. I just don't ever touch it because I don't like it. Anything bad? Not bad. Anything I slightly dislike about the tablet? I don't think I saw. I think that's it. So let me talk about some of my pros, I guess. Yeah, I talked about I really like the design of this Innovator 16. I specifically chose it for being a little bit more thinner than the other tablets. And I think that because of that, it has great portability and mobility. You can bring it anywhere. Around like a month after, or up to a month after I bought my tablet, I probably brought it to my school like 3, maybe 4 times. Sat in the lunchroom, did my work. I got stares, which was surprising because I thought tablets are a little bit more common now. So I don't know if the stares were like, oh, you're weird, like why are you having this big tablet out in the open, or it was like oh, that's cool, she has a tablet out in the open. But yeah, I got stares. But yeah, I live like a great distance away from my school, so like putting the tablet in my bag, I didn't feel any stress or pain. My laptop is a lot bigger, a lot heavier than this tablet is actually is. And then setting it up even on like a smaller like table that I'm used to at my school, I still had plenty of room because of how thin this was. It wasn't taking up a lot of space, which is incredible. So yeah, I don't know if that's a plus for anyone, but portability and mobility I think is a win in my book, especially if the size and weight aren't too big that you can hold it like in a purse or something and be completely fine. I talked about the design of it. I think it's great. This tablet does not heat up. I've done 8-hour sessions and I've been like perfectly fine. I haven't felt like heat radiating off this tablet in any type of way. So if that's something anyone is interested in, that's a plus in my book. Customizable buttons. I will say like a list of customizations are provided for you for the express keys, and you have the choice of like, you know, putting that like that shortcut and, you know, aligning it to that specific button. So it's not like you can like make up any customization that you want with the buttons. You have to like basically choose off the list or what's already like provided as like, you know, a customization. So I only ever use 4 out of the 8 buttons. I use the save button, I use the move button, which essentially just like makes me like drag. I can drag my pen and move across the screen. I use the undo button and I use the eyedropper button. And near the end of the video, I show like me touching the express keys, just to show you can see where the placements were. I do have tape over it. I kept the tape for the specific video, but it's off now. I don't need it anymore because I kind of memorized it like a year later. I completely even forgot I still had tape in my thingy. So yeah, the customization, I think it's great. There also is a dial in the middle. So the outer dial is like silver, and then there is an inner dial which is black. I cannot speak, and I really like them both. They like they zoom in. 3-in-1 cables. I think that cable management is incredibly important, especially if you're on the go and you don't have to worry about like a million cables to attach to. So I like that all the cables are attached to each other, and then they can like easily, click in or like go into your devices, your laptop and your tablet itself. It comes with a stylus with a lot of nibs. Personally, I haven't used this tablet enough this year to even have to change my nib like a year later. But it's great that it comes with extra nibs. What else? There's a large drawing screen compared to most XP Pen tablet. The border of the tablet doesn't take up a lot of space. So even though this tablet is like, I think it's about 16 inches, the drawing surface is more like a little under 16, like 15.6, something like that. So it gives you a large drawing surface compared to most tablets that have like a thick black border around, and it leaves, even though it's a big tablet, it leaves your drawing surface a lot more smaller than you intended. So I think that this one is good because of the slim design. And I think that's it. Oh, the pen doesn't have like battery. It doesn't need to be charged. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's go back to the drawing process here because we have color and we're nearing the end of the video. So yeah, I like anything but the bush of leaves that I was trying to do. I didn't talk about my layout here. So this is how my Clip Studio Paint layout looks like. I try to like do the layout in a way where if I was like whatever tools I like use a lot on Procreate and gravitate towards, that's what I want like to be out in the open for my Clip Studio Paint, because at the beginning, since everything was a bunch of like, I was going through this like learning curve with this system because it's a lot more complicated to things I've used in the past. I guess besides Krita, I wanted to like make sure like I was kind of going through like a faster mentality. I still haven't been able to draw faster on this like compared to the iPad, but I'm slowly getting there. So I just ensure my layout like reads well, that I don't have to like ask questions and find things that I typically in common use over and over again. With the arrows, like I don't know if you can see it, but like above the color wheel there are like arrows. If you like click one of the arrows, it brings up like your menu of things that you imported, like 3D models, brushes and such. But if you click the arrow afterwards, it brings up the navigation. For larger detailed pieces that I've done on this tablet, I always have the navigation up because I'm always zooming in for small details. And so the reference window is always up, so I can like see everything zoomed out while I am zoomed in. But for this particular piece, since it's small and not detailed enough, I don't have that attached. But that is typically part of like my work setup, my interface when using Clip Studio Paint. Yeah, I don't know, we're coming to the end of the video. I was putting in some finishing touches. I really like this Soul brush. I think at one point I moved to another brush to like do something because I think I didn't really like how like the brush looked when filling in large surfaces. But besides that, I think I 100% use the Soul brush for the main part of all of this. Yeah, if I went back to this, I would definitely have done like an over painting stage, like rendered on top of like my sketch to get more of like a painter vibe. But like this over painting step that a lot of artists do, I would definitely have done it because I do that in my own art. But yeah, I kind of like the bit of sketchy lines that you see at the bottom part of the piece, because everything else is almost completely covered, that you don't really see the sketch lines anymore. So it kind of gives it a little bit of character. If I was to redo this again, I would obviously get better at drawing the bush of leaves at top. But regardless, I think I did pretty good compared to the reference. I'll make sure I put the reference up here again so you guys can kind of see. I think I did pretty good. I'm pretty happy with myself with what I was able to do in a short amount of time. I'm pretty happy with my cat. I think my cat looks good. I think it looks good. So I like a lot of praise because I don't draw animals enough. And so, yeah, I mean, it was simple. It's like simple shapes. Praise me when I actually learned how to do a standing cat, but I still think it looks good. So, I don't know. That's just me. Any updates for the future on this channel? The year is coming up to an end. I'm doing commissions, so I am figuring things out a little bit. I haven't drawn for about a month. Digitally in October. I think I talked about this in my art and security video. I gave myself a challenge where I wasn't going to draw digitally for a month, and I did it, which was great. But because of that, I'm getting back into digital art, drawing actual people again after I did this piece particularly was extremely hard. I'm kind of I need to get my motor functions back in because I'm surprised because I do digital art over traditional art. Whenever I go back into doing traditional art, I'm completely fine. Whenever I stop doing digital art and go back to it, it's like I don't know how to draw anymore, which is completely weird. But this was a way to ease back into me drawing digitally again after taking that month-long break, slightly over a month-long break of doing digital art itself. I bought a new iPad. I don't know if I talked about this in an art and security video, but I had mentioned, or maybe I mentioned in the beginning of this video too, my current iPad is going downhill. It's a 9.7 inch regular Apple iPad. 9.7 inch is the size that they don't make anymore on Apple. I think it's 10.2 now. It's going downhill. It's been cracked for the last 2 years. My home button is completely destroyed, the whole strip of area completely destroyed that you can see the inside of it. And every time I charge it, it decreases while it's charging. Or if every time I want to draw and my iPad's at 100%, I can't go more than 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll completely either die or decrease up into 20% or less. And I hate that I have to keep it plugged in while drawing because I'm raking up the electricity bill. So I bought a new iPad. It's still 10.2 inch because I can't justify the need to buy a bigger size than that. So it's still the standard regular iPad. It's 256 GB, and so I have a lot more storage space. I completely transferred everything from my old iPad to this new iPad, and I'm able to draw again, do commissions and such. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm working with my sister on her comic book stuff that she's hoping to put out at the end of this year. I don't know if I'm doing the full art for the comic book thing, actually drawing it, or if I'm just doing the book cover and character design stuff that I've been doing so far. But regardless, I'm pretty happy. I'm psyched to be a part of a project that's not my own and do something that's not related to me and that's not personal. It's a little stressful and hard, but I'm happy to take on any challenge. So yeah, commissions are open if anyone's interested. I was meant to post this on Black Friday, but yeah, it's still Cyber Monday, so if anyone's interested in buying a tablet or taking advantage of buying a slightly expensive drawing software, obviously do your research, but I hope this video helped in any way. And I would say go for the discounts. If you missed it this year, I would say wait for the discounts, because a lot of things are expensive and it's challenging right now, so take it a little bit slow. You see my buttons on the side. You see the 4 buttons I typically use and such. So yeah, I think this video, it's coming to an end. I'm surprised I was able to talk completely straight through, but I had fun talking to you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, let me know if you have any tips on Clip Studio Paint, or just how to use a tablet in more of a function way to just to kind of help the ability to draw faster on this tablet, or any tips regarding anything. Please let me know down below. If you have any information on why I kept having to calibrate this thing so many times, why the cursor and the pen tip wasn't aligning so many times, do let me know, because I would like to fix that, because I'm doing a lot of big projects right now, and I don't want to have to keep doing that every 20 minutes or so. And then, yeah, just tips in general. I am always open to learn more because, even though I've been doing digital art for about 2-3 years now and drawing like traditionally all my life, I'm always happy to learn new things because, it's great to improve it in any type of way. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot. Commissions are open if my art looks appealing to you. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, then I will see you in another video. Have an amazing day. Peace. Bye, guys.